Internet, let's talk about the masterpiece that is Wu-Tang An American Saga. This review is for patron producer, the great Curtis Mason, without whom I might never have seen this show. There are a number of Wu-Tang properties out there, and An American Saga is up for a number of Emmys, but it's still somehow, even with the Emmys and being a bit of source material that I hold near and dear to my heart, had missed this one. So I am making these to especially get the word out about how good Wu-Tang An American Saga is. This is part 1 of season 2. We've been reviewing these in basically 3-hour chunks, but to kick off the season, we did 4 hours at once. We did the first 4 episodes of season 2. So if you want to know what I thought of season 1, watch it on Hulu, then watch parts 1, 2, and 3 of season 1 right here in this very channel. This will be season 2, episodes 1 through 4. If you've never seen one of my patron reviews, basically I give my non-spoiler thoughts at the top and then dive into notes of what I'm watching in real time. So while I'm watching the show, I'm taking notes throughout. That way you can get my experience of each episode and also the twists and turns and whatnot. So general non-spoiler thoughts. Wu-Tang An American Saga is even better season 2. All the groundwork it laid with brilliant world building and character development and multiple perspectives really comes to a head, especially at the top of season 2. I'm really excited to keep going into season 2, but the show does a really good job offering multiple perspectives. Now, Wu-Tang is a giant clan. It is a huge, huge hip-hop group, and early 90s Shaolin, Staten Island is a very different place, and it's also a very, there's a lot of crime. It's a rough neighborhood. And so this is not just a biopic about music, but it's also an incredible crime saga. It's also a very American story. It's terrifyingly still quite topical. So it's a really interesting approach to telling a biopic by doing it this long form. But in doing that, you get multiple perspectives about the different rival gangs. You get a long form journey of what a lot of our leads went on. You really get to know RZA. You get to see him go from Bobby to Prince Rakeem to RZA. You get to see Wu-Tang have its different versions as it builds up into the group that changed hip-hop. So it is a really fascinating show, and the second season allows all the groundwork that was laid in season 1 to really flower into this beautiful thing in season 2. It does an even better job being aggressive in its pace. I love that it's a crime drama that takes its time, but it's really impressive that it hits the ground running like it does in season 2. It trusts its audience. It understands that you know who these characters are, and then it really lets you be torn about who you're rooting for and how you're feeling and all the things happening in that world. And as it gets closer and closer to modern day, and as you hear more songs that you recognize, your subconscious ties into nostalgia, it builds and builds and just becomes an even better show. So highly recommend Wu-Tang An American Saga. Those are my non-spoiler thoughts about the top of season 2. Here are my notes diving into each episode of season 2. So let's kick it off with season 2. Spidey Cat's here. Episode 1. And we're back. Good to see Bobby evolve into a leader so quickly. It's amazing to see the beginning of ODB as the old dirty bastard we know and love. Great opening. Wait, how'd he get away? And then it's playing with time, so I was confused at the top there. There's a lot of really fun chronological play. Season 1, they did a lot of interesting stuff with different formats, animation, filming styles and all that stuff. Season 2 is no exception. There's a lot of chronology play, season 2 so far. Oh shit, he shot him and bailed and survived. Shit, she is real pregnant. Wow, I didn't know he confessed. So much happened between Prince Rakeem and full Wu-Tang. I didn't even know the extent of which the fall of Prince Rakeem, the jail era of Bobby leading into this, and how much it shaped him. Shit, Big Bro stuck around with his kid. I love that his Big Bro stuck around and became a good dad. I love how quickly that becomes so important, how much being a dad changes him. Scary that I took that, what did I write? Scary that I'd took until that gun and probably hasn't changed much today. I'm not sure what that means, but I wrote, scary that I'd took until that gun and probably hasn't changed that much today. Not sure what I tried to write there. Yeah, Kenny Loggins. Actually like this lawyer guy so far. More people carry guns than ID. Oh, maybe I'm referencing that. The idea of, people that are not given a lot of opportunity to, do what society expects, and the disparity between all these things. Yes, Kenny Loggins is the core of all things. Great American songwriter, I agree. I fucking love Kenny Loggins, and I love that the lawyer is like all about Kenny Loggins, and this is the exact right time in the world of pop culture for Kenny Loggins to be so prevalent. Ew, toilet wine, man. Prison inspiration. I love everything he's gaining from prison. I love how wise he is to use his surroundings and to really mature through this, not just have it be time lost, but time gained. Oh shit, quick escalation. Way more crime this season. D-Love's been shot. Word is already spread. Where Dennis gets shot, and we find out he gets shot in the neck, but the suspense is already insane. Now she's in Scrubs, in with him, and she had the baby. The stakes are so incredibly high. D-Love's been shot in the neck. He wakes up. His girl's in Scrubs too, because she had the baby in the same hospital. Crazy stakes and circumstance, and based on a true story, so it's insane. Bokeem is so great. Bokeem Woodbine is this source of warmth and heart and beautiful character work here. Oof, the guilt is real. Grow from this, Bobby. Make dope art. And then you've got the visual and the literal and the philosophical metaphor of the monarch butterfly, representing freedom, that escape, that being a king. Family, already in court. This is moving. I did not expect them to get to court in episode 1. I did not expect it to go like it did. And then we also get the rap battle sequence in the courtroom, which is just incredible. A rap battle dissertation growing him as an artist and mentally how he perceives problem solving. And then we get a not guilty rep in episode 1. What an episode 1 of season 2 we got there. Into episode 2. Wu-Tang forming up on the phone like Voltron. I love this phone conversation with Wu-Tang and the different members. Vine cleaning up post hallway halfway house too. Loved how Vine has grown and matured again, just like Bobby with prison, the post halfway house. What he learned from there, how he's utilizing it, what kind of man he is. You get to see all that going. Love the supporting characters like the halfway house guy. Characters that have like 2 minutes of screen time sometimes shine so bright because the writing's so good, the acting's so good. Love this halfway house guy and how important he is to the character. Because you can make a show out of any one of these supporting characters, and that character, the halfway house guy, could be one of the leads. But here, he's just got to do a lot with a couple minutes, and that's how life is sometimes. Like, you meet these important people to you. They don't have a lot of life screen time, but they have a lot of impact. Shamik's back. Where's he been at? Getting his music on, not cooking, good man. Love to see Shamik Moore's character grow. Good to see a Walkman again, just from a personal place. Love me a good Walkman. ODB got fucked up. That whole sequence was, him fighting for the girl. That whole set was incredible throughout the second episode. VHS bootlegs, neck to the Muslim text, and the Israelites setting up right across. So tense. Cannot imagine being in New York in the 90s for so many reasons, but just the visual of that was a lot. Liking this even more mature Bobby. Quote I dug, this time I'm going to have my brothers with me. The Wu-Tang Clan. It felt iconic. It felt like a moment. I love the idea of him rising up with his brothers, that the first time it failed going solo. He wants to go his way, drive through music his way, and that's with Wu-Tang. Shotgun becoming Method Man. I did not know Method Man went by Shotgun before. So even though now I see how much the dude is clearly Method Man and like the casting is perfect, I had missed all that. So it's really cool to see Method Man form and surprise me. Love that. Wu-Tang Origins Ep after Bobby's second chance. So I thought we were forming Wu-Tang at the end of season 1, and we were, but those were just the beginning of seeds. Now it's growing even more in this episode 2 of season 2. I really want to see ODB roll up on that prick with the whole crew. He tried diplomacy, it didn't work. I love this riding a bike mixing scene and floppy disk. The whole thing about riding a bike and relearning how to mix, and that whole sequence with floppy disks is delightful. Dre and Snoop coming up, that West Coast influence coming in. I'm a big West Coast rap guy, so the sound of the West Coast infiltrating while he's mixing and you're hearing what's getting popular. Love to hear Dre and Snoop. Love Sha getting some love for his music, and I started working on calling him Sha instead of Shamik Moore. I like the actor Shamik Moore a lot, but in fairness to Sha, love him getting some love for his music and growing that way. We got an Eric Sermon reference and moment. Sha making music moves while Bobby is evolving his sound. This season is moving. Beats for each of his brothers, swords swinging, guns blazing. Love each disc being each member of Wu-Tang and each having a different sound, all that coming together. And then in episode 4, it really comes together. The show is so inspiring to hustle no matter what your art is. This show is inspiring as fuck, what they're able to accomplish, what they're able to overcome, what they're able to persevere through, and what their inspiration is themselves and how they keep moving. The show is so inspiring, especially this episode. Trial run, no pay, clever, but everyone is moving up. I love that he lobbies to get the job at the construction site, saying he didn't have to pay him, but the guy's like, no, I'll pay you, but he's willing. Like, that level of hustle, and it's really smart, and how much he cares about his boss by the end there. Self-produce, make your own shit your way, damn right. Not to compare myself in any way to what they've gone through, but I love stories where someone like comes up themselves, and I feel like our generation is doing that more and more with, like people self-producing YouTube, people self-producing music, people like SoundCloud rappers get a lot of crap, but some of them are actually great, make it, and like people that came up talking about stuff that turned that into their careers, and people that came up through YouTube, and it's really, these people did that without the technology that was there yet. Yeah, they had mixtapes, yeah, they had the ability to sound design, but like they didn't have the internet to get that reach, so they had to hustle. So it's interesting to look at what 20, 30 years has changed. I kind of invented this job. I didn't invent YouTubing, but I talked about comics before people were talking about comic books. And then it turned into a thing. So it's really inspiring for me to see people grind even harder because they didn't have the tools that I have. And it makes me want to do even more than I'm doing. So it's a really inspiring show. One day his brother is going to see this music potential all the way. Happens episode 4, but I love the conversations between the brothers. This season is even better than season 1, which is what Curtis told me, and he was absolutely right. The season is even better. ODB, man of many swords, rolls up solo and handles that punk. Damn Shaw shot accidentally on some dumb shit, and I can't imagine how much that happens. And we're back to New York City. Bobby's heading back to NYC, leaving Ohio. Episode 3. Shaolin Art and solving shit through luck and words. Already inspired. Second acts are something to be proud of. Love that message. Again, Bokeem Woodbine, and so many beautiful metaphors, so much clarity, so much just great dialogue. Wonder if dude is going to make a union or something big with construction. I'm already thinking, like, what's he going to do? How is he going to reshape construction? What business is he going to run? And, of course, the show Twist Speed turns me, and then that whole construction site goes down because of someone's selfishness, which also happens a hell of a lot. But I love that I'm immediately like, dude, this guy's inspiring. I'm wondering what he's going to do to change the construction game. And, of course, it makes sense that he's going to help change the music game, but I was already thinking further along his path. Use that Wall Street knowledge, use that business knowledge, really respect all the different hustles and how they're approaching them. The first season was about like laying the foundation. The second season is about the hustle and growing, and there's so much growth. It is such a fast-paced season. Using that street shit and it failing was another smart, harsh lesson. He tried to go threaten that dude that ended up shutting the construction site down. It didn't work. Street stuff doesn't always work, and like that's what he knows, that's what he's exposed to. So I love that's not business. Dude's got to learn some business, and then when it brings the music business, combine street and business knowledge. Raekwon is born. I love Raekwon, and seeing the birth of Raekwon was a moment. So many alter ego, subtle superhero vibes. They talk about superheroes a lot in the show, and it's not a coincidence they got multiple names here. It's not a coincidence they don their identities, their superhero identities, and to see Raekwon like that was rad. He needed that Bobby beat. Love all this hustling math. As ever, so good at building out opposing characters and viewpoints to better serve the conflict and reality. No one thinks they're the bad guy. People coming from opposing viewpoints is how the world is. So seeing all that handled so well in a show, and multiple, not just one-to-one, not just Daredevil and Wilson Fisk, but like 5 different perspectives at all times is genius. She's team music too. Get after it, new pops. Love that. Love that the girl who just had a baby wants him to go figure out the music stuff. I love that she's supportive. I love that it's not, bad writing where it's like, oh, don't leave me with the kid. Like, obviously he needs to be a good dad, but he's shown he's a good dad. Now he needs to go in a safer way provide for his family, and I love that support. And she was raised around music, so that's just cool to see. What's his name evolution? Excited to see where that all comes into play. Chapter choices are super interesting pace. This episode, instead of doing chronology stuff, has clear chapter designations in it as it grows and speeds through time. And that's another interesting creative choice as a show. Zig the path from knowledge to wisdom to understanding. I love that. You got the alphabet, you're breaking down the rules, and the Z was so interesting to me. The zig the path from knowledge to wisdom to understanding. I didn't know that was what the Z in RZA stood for, and I wrote that down, and then at the end that comes to play, and I was like, God damn, of course. Stealing juice from a payphone, genius. Ruler zigzag Allah is what RZA stands for, which is what I learned from this show. RZA is born, and the RZA made the beat. So that's not a Bobby beat, that's a RZA beat. And we got the beginning of the Wu-Tang fully forming, literally cleaning up his neighborhood one brushstroke at a time. Love the ending of this episode. Love this fucking show. All right, the last one I watched from season 2 is episode 4. I am immediately going to go into episodes 5, 6, and 7 this month, because this is technically my review for April for the great Curtis Mason. So we're going to do May next. I'm literally going to do it next week. So expect part 2 of season 2 next week, which is going to be episodes 5, 6, and 7. But first, my thoughts on one of the biggest episodes of the show to date, episode 4. Mafia flavor on the ferry. We've got this really intense episode that all takes place on a ferry that is genius. Deepest rap group of all time. Goddamn right. Love this long brewing conflict continually coming to a head, always percolating, always having ebbs and flows. And here it is all on one location, all of our cast getting together, and it is tense. Also digging the fun Western undertones. Little do I know, this show's going to get real Westerny. An orchestra of hip hop in harmony. Love that. And that's exactly what these mega groups are, especially Wu-Tang. Haha, white men can't jump right next to Malcolm X to test the white man. Funny as fuck, especially with the VHS bootlegs. Trapping them all on a boat to settle conflict is genius and a great setting. Not only is it very New York, not only is it very Staten Island, not only is it very of the time, but it's a small set, so you really got to experience the conflict and the tension and all those things. Everything is for sale escalation. Now we got this dude hustling and bootlegging, causing more tension. And we've got the ticking time bomb of the dude on the payphone always saying how long things are to add more tension. Genius writing and directing. Ticking clock, fairy announcer, and building stakes up with landmarks is clever too. Again, setting the tone, setting the landing, setting the time and place, all genius. Love the exposition by way of conversations, growing knowledge of characters, plot, and perspective each character has for each other, doubling our knowledge. If you know two characters, care about two characters, they have conflict, it gives you exponential knowledge, not just one-to-one, but double the knowledge and their perspective of each other. Great way to build ×5 of this episode with all the different conflicts. Sister confrontation finally comes to a head. We find out, how he feels about him having a kid with his sister and all that, and it actually turns out pretty sweet. Again, good writing, not cliche writing, but you initially have that conflict, as you would. Hella Western vibes, even more than I thought. Power and D convo is cathartic in its day-to-day normalcy and flashback building their characters up. Fascinating how much has already happened with so many characters in this show, only really, 14 episodes in. Announcer paranoia, inner voice works great. Love that Bobby's hearing that and it's changing and warping into what he's thinking, and that's not actually happening, but it's how he experiences it, because that's our lead effectively, even with all the leads. Bonding over sis and kid is such a great scene. It's a short scene, it's like a 2-minute scene, but it's such a good scene. It all comes to a head, all groups as the clock ticks, on the edge of a boat with eye close-ups and grills and toothpicks. Such a Western moment. Could have had a tumbleweed on that boat. It was such a great moment, such a great crescendo of action. I'm so impressed. Peak Western greatness, Noah's Ark, but with only 30 minutes, all these conversations coming to a head, and all conflict is reasonable and justified, which I dig. You understand every single person's perspective. You understand how it escalates. You understand why it escalates. You understand what these people's perspectives are because you love them all, and you understand that they're opposing viewpoints, and you understand how they could squash it with the right leader, which is RZA, which leads to making beautiful music that sometimes conflicts and has a big story to tell and is important and did change hip-hop. RZA is such a great speaker and leader. Everything led, come on, it's RZA and that actor, man. Everything led to this monologue, and it was absolutely glorious. And I wrote that, and then they ended the monologue with no way to win a war, no way to win a war with each other, because if one of us goes down, we all lose. That is so important, and that is such a piece of humanity, and that is such an important piece of writing. The show got all the Emmys for a reason. That is such an important message. No way to win a war with each other, because if one of us goes down, we all lose. More people need to realize that. Once we get all them pieces, the whole industry will know that Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. I knew the first time they said that line would be important. I didn't know it'd be the end of a 5-minute monologue culminating in the 14 episodes we've had our show so far. Didn't know it would be literally the peak, Avengers Assemble moment, but fuck was it, and it was so good. Once we get all them pieces, the whole industry will know that Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. Hit me right here, even thinking about it right now. That's how you end a speech and kick off another phase of a show. And then 5 become 8 in the animation as the knowledge spreads. It's Woo, motherfuckers, as the song to close everything out. Fucking genius. The show is exceptional. Very excited to see what's next. Like I said, I'm going to be doing that next week. I'm going to be diving into Season 2, Part 2. I can't wait. The show is exceptional. If you haven't seen Wu-Tang An American Saga, it's on Hulu. I highly recommend it. Special thanks to Curtis Mason, who is not just a sponsor of me reviewing these, but he's a full-on producer of this whole fucking channel. The reason I can do this YouTube and make time for it is largely thanks to Curtis Mason. So a lot of love to Curtis and a lot of love to this show, which he got me on. Going to be watching episodes 5, 6, and 7 this coming week. And then in June, we're going to wrap up Season 2. So very excited about that. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all my patrons. Thank you to everyone watching this on YouTube. Thank you to everyone that made Wu-Tang An American Saga, and anyone that gives a shit about especially music and culture and New York in the night. Anything. If you care about shit, try this show out. And I just spoiled a ton if you're weirdly watching this without having seen it, but I warned you. I did warn you. All right. Much love, Curtis. Thank you as ever. Patrons, thank you as ever. YouTube, Hope you're well. Like, click, subscribe, share, all the stuff I'm supposed to say. Much love, guys.